Now we'll hear how evidence and data can turn those intentions into measurable impact when we hear from Natalie in her presentation, Financial Wellbeing in Practice. Natalie Paine is the Social Impact Research and Reporting Lead at ANZ. Natalie oversees ANZ's social impact research, including ANZ's surveys of financial wellbeing, collaborations with social research partners, and the ongoing evaluation of ANZ's financial capability programs. Natalie has a background in economics and has worked for more than 25 years in public policy and financial inclusion. Please join me in welcoming Natalie Paine.
Thanks, Min. I'm feeling quite relaxed after that, actually. So, now I have to kind of wake up and think about data. But look, firstly, I would also like to acknowledge that we're on Ngunnawal country here and pay my respects to elders, both past and present, and extend that respect to First Nations people in the room as well today. So, forward. Okay, so look, firstly, nice timeline there. We've been researching the financial lives of Australians for more than 20 years now, so particularly looking at, I guess, one aspect of overall wellbeing, which is financial wellbeing. And we certainly know that is quite a significant aspect of overall wellbeing. I mean, most recently, Beyond Blue has done a lot of research into the impact that financial wellbeing has on mental health in particular. And for us, the journey sort of started in a fairly straightforward way. So we were looking at financial literacy in particular. And back in those days, sort of back in 2002, financial literacy was really considered, about gaining knowledge. And if you gain knowledge, then, you have positive outcomes, and that was pretty much the end of it. But, and while that is true, that, gaining knowledge obviously does lead to better outcomes, that approach has very much evolved over the time, and we've taken into account a lot of the research that's been done overseas, heavily drawn on the work of Professor Elaine Kempson in the UK, who's very much the sort of godmother of this work, and where we really saw the role that attitudes, personality traits, behaviours and socioeconomics can have in developing financial capability and eventually financial wellbeing outcomes. And this has very much helped us better understand our programs that we've developed. So firstly, a diagram. We all like to see a diagram with lots of arrows going in lots of different places. In 2021, we applied the Elaine Kempson financial wellbeing model in Australia. And it was really one of the few large-scale hypothetical models of financial wellbeing that was there in the literature at the time, which looked at a multitude of influences that affected financial wellbeing outcomes. And you can see from the model there are lots of pathways. So essentially, those factors which directly affect financial wellbeing are in blue, and those which work indirectly through the model, through all those different paths, are in grey. And then we used fairly detailed structural equation modelling with our research partner, Prescience Research, to sort of essentially find a magnitude for the impacts of each of those drivers of the model. And you can see there, firstly, the role that behaviours do play when influencing financial wellbeing, so those high-end behaviours around saving and spending and investing, and then also money management behaviours that influence saving and spending, so that's really your planning and your budgeting and monitoring your finances as well. But then also you could see the role that other factors such as financial confidence and control, knowledge and experience, and saving and spending attitudes, it's really that sort of money mindset, whether you're more of a saver or a spender, that we're also playing through the model. And then we looked at psychological factors. So we had some key ones which were the most significant ones, which were around optimism, frugality, being sort of future focused in the way you looked at life in general, and being impulsive as well. And they had quite a significant effect on financial wellbeing. But what you can see quite strikingly there is that a person's socioeconomic context was more than half of what influenced financial wellbeing outcomes. Now, we had about 8 socioeconomic variables that we looked at in the model. So really the big key one there is health was the largest impact on financial wellbeing. So we're talking about both physical and mental health as well. So that definitely had the largest impact. And we looked at it from terms of health concerns, so we're talking about a negative impact on financial wellbeing. Earning potential had the largest positive impact. And when we talk about earning potential, it's someone's socioeconomic status essentially in terms of how much they're earning, but also their level of education as well, which can drive their earning potential. And then other factors such as unemployment is obviously significant impact, life journey, where we're really talking about a person's age, access to social supports generally, financial stability, gender, which was really about being essentially whether you're male or not, providing financial support to a dependent as well, which was essentially talking about looking after children and other caring responsibilities, and they were all key influences on financial wellbeing. So knowing what we know, I guess that socioeconomics are a huge part of what drives financial wellbeing. The question for us was really, well, okay, how do we think about that in terms of our programs? Because in many ways we can't necessarily influence a person's socioeconomic situation. But what we do know is that firstly, we need to be aware of that context. So, even when we know when people do get into financial difficulty, major factors such as health or job loss are essentially the number 1 and 2 present. Also, when it comes to delivering our programs, looking at delivery partnerships, which is what we do. We deliver them in partner with community organisations, predominantly the Brotherhood of St Lawrence, the Smith family and Berry Street Victoria are our main partners, and it's because we know they know more about the context of the people that they work with. But we also know that even though socioeconomics are making a sort of big drive on financial wellbeing, financial confidence has got a very key role to play. So it's influencing financial wellbeing through the behaviours that people might do, so whether they're investing, saving and spending. And even when socioeconomic factors are there, when people are feeling more financially confident, they're more likely to take charge of their finances or make changes that make it easier to save for the bad times or invest in the future. Our modelling also showed that the largest factors influencing financial confidence are knowledge and optimism. So essentially, you would rather financial confidence to be more driven by knowledge than by straight optimism. And also, thirdly, that financial wellbeing itself is influencing financial confidence. So this is a reinforcing thing. So the better someone's financial wellbeing, the more confident they feel, the more likely to sort of perform better financial behaviours, which then improves financial wellbeing, and it becomes a circular thing. Just wanted to look at an example, a piece of research we did in 2023 where we looked at the impacts of all these factors on women's financial wellbeing. And it was really quite clear to us that, while on one side quite expected, you would think that socioeconomics are a strong influence for women. Their ability to earn over their lifetime is impacted usually by caring responsibilities and household makeup and a lot of those factors, and we found health as well as another factor that influences this. And you could see that there was a discrepancy in financial wellbeing outcomes on the left there the whole way through at every age group that we looked at. But what we found, which was probably a bit less expected, was that financial confidence was also a significant issue for women. So particularly when we were looking at long-term sort of future financial security. So women generally felt less confident in their ability to plan for their financial future. They reported lower knowledge levels when it came to products and different things they can do associated with building wealth. And these factors really played out in terms of the money they put aside for investments or whether or not they had savings. And while definitely those socioeconomic factors and income earned was influencing those outcomes, what we saw was that issue around confidence was present from the very early on. So for 18 to 24-year-old women, there was already that discrepancy in place. Okay, so the part of what we can do from our community programs point of view, we have been running these programs, Money Minded, Saver Plus and Money Business, for more than 20 years now. We first developed Money Minded was the very first program we developed, and that was off the back of that very first piece of research that we did on financial literacy. And that was really about discovering that there was definitely a group of people, particularly people on lower incomes, who were struggling more with their financial knowledge and knowing what to do with their money. And that's how Money Minded was born at the beginning. And all of these programs are very much focused on building financial confidence, building that knowledge to build financial confidence. And also with Saver Plus, we have a structured behaviour change element as well. And with these programs, they are delivered in partnership with community organisations, and the content is product and brand agnostic as well. So just I'll briefly talk about Money Minded and Saver Plus, just in terms of, I'm probably running, I've got 1 minute, good, okay, very quickly. So Money Minded is our adult financial education program, and that has reached more than 1 million people now in 17 countries. It's been adapted, Money Minded was originally adapted to produce Money Business, which is our First Nations program. It's also been adapted with a family violence module as well, and particularly for the Pacific audiences as well, so many countries throughout the region. In Australia, we find 3/4 of participants are women, about 1/3 are sole parents, and we've seen an increasing cohort of students attending in the last couple of years. Around about 1/4 of all participants are students now, which we thought was quite interesting. I'll just skip on to Saver Plus as well. Now, Saver Plus is very much our confidence and behaviour change program. It's a match savings program, and it was developed by us and the Brotherhood of St Lawrence back in 2002-2003, and it's jointly funded by ANZ and the Australian Government. And it's the longest running program of its kind in the world, so it's reached more than 61,000 people now. And essentially with participants saving an education-related goal, either for themselves or for their children, and save for 10 months. They attend those money-minded workshops, so they gain that financial knowledge and confidence, and the 10 months of savings, which we then match up to $500 at the end, is what leads to that ongoing behaviour change. And we've seen about 84% of people who went through Saver Plus are still saving 7 years after they've finished the program, so it does have sustained long-term benefit. And again, mostly women and single parents attending with Saver Plus as well, so that's definitely where we're seeing the most need. So finally, I guess the key to success with our programs has very much been around those strong partnerships that we have with our community partners, also the amazing participants who they produce the outcomes for themselves, absolutely, but ensuring that our programs really do have a basis in the research that we do, and that our evolving research is actually reinforcing that those programs are actually, I guess, dealing with the issues that we're trying to solve. But with that, I'll pass back to you, Min. Thank you.